Well, all right. Welcome to Foul Tips, the all baseball solo edition of the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. For beer with a baseball talk and a whole lot more. Today, I'll discuss the Aaron Judge contract stalemate with the Yankees. I'll bring back the Rick Award, named after the greatest baseball player ever, Ricky Henderson. Then I'll discuss a situation I had earlier this week while umpiring home plate at WCBL game in Medicine Hat. So, as always, sit back, grab a few beers, and let's get into her. So back in April, before the season started on opening day, the New York Yankees and Aaron Judge sat down for one last contract try, one last kick in the cat to see or can. I guess we don't go kicking cats, everybody, but one last kick in the can, see if they come to a contract for the foreseeable future, to see if they could, if Judge could finish his career in pinstripes. The Yankees' final offer was 7 years at $213 sheets. Judge gracefully declined, I guess is one way of putting it. Decided to bet on himself, and bet on himself he did, and the wager was good because he last night the Yankees blew out the Pittsburgh Pirates, and Judge hit his 30th home run. Stats guys are after 82 games the Yankees have played. They're 59-23. Judge is 30 home runs, first in baseball, 64 RBIs, fourth, and an OPS of 993, which is third. Hitting 287. I guess batting average doesn't count much anymore in the world of baseball analytics, but we'll discuss that a little bit later. Joey Gallo. But anyways, Judge bet on himself, and it looks like the bet's right because he's on pace to get a lot of money. I don't think the Yankees are going to budge very much in this situation with what they said. Kind of bring this up today because yesterday Hal Steinbrenner, he was on whatever show. He's on the Yankees pregame in the rain delay. They were showing it last night on the Yes Network. And Hal Steinbrenner said he'd not provide details anymore on contract negotiations, whether there is stuff going on behind closed doors. Who knows whether they're actually not talking. The offers are off the table. Who knows? I hope they keep it that way because when things get public, they can get a little bit ugly. I personally, as a Yankee fan, if you're watching on YouTube later on, we'll put this up there. You can see in the background the pinstripe pride that I have. It's just, I hope that they keep this behind closed doors. It doesn't get public. Like I said, it can get pretty greasy, and a lot of crazy shit can happen, like with the Freddie Freeman situation in Atlanta and the way that ended up. We talked about with me and Dave last night on the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. But here on Foul Tips, get into a little bit. The Steinbrenner said there's no doubt that they want to keep Judge in pinstripes, but there are a lot of discussions to be had. Because the term was the biggest thing, and I agree with that. You see a lot of these aging contracts, like the Albert Pujols situation, hasn't turned out well to 10 years. You look at the Robinson Cano situation, although there's a lot of external forces or internal forces between his ears, maybe with getting PEDs and getting caught with everything else. But those long-term 10-year deals don't work with Judge, who's been rather injury prone at the age of 30 right now. I don't think a 10-year deal is in the Yankees' best interest, and I don't think that he's going to get it from the Yankees. Is there an owner out there that might give it to Judge? I think it could be a guy in New York, like my friend Jim at Fan of the Van podcast said that Aaron Judge isn't leaving New York City other than to go on a vacation. He's staying there. I think it's going to be with the Yankees, but if it's not, will the Mets go with the 10-year deal just to kind of put the screws to the Yankees? It's something that they've never done before, but this might be the opportunity for them to do it. But I just think that right now, the way that Judge is handling it and hitting home runs that are at a record pace, 61 is to me still my record in baseball, not the Barry Bonds 72 or whatever he ended up getting that year. But they can't be distraction winning a championship. The sole focus, hopefully that's Judge's sole focus as well. And the way things are going, it kind of looks that way. My kicker with the Judge situation, and you go back to 2010 or 11, whatever year it was, in Jeter's last contract negotiations, Jeter wanted and this is Derek Jeter. This is the face of the franchise. This is the captain. This is the whole bit. Cashman dug his heels in and said, "No, man, we're not paying you more than this. We're not paying you for your popularity. We're paying you for performance." And as Judge gets older, you'll see that. So Judge needs the Yankees just as much as the Yankees need Judge. And the fact that he's going to get a very good His marketability in New York is second to none. Maybe in LA with the Dodgers, but I can't see him ever going to the Dodgers. It just they're too loaded in the outfield already. And yes, there's a DH and everything else, but I can't see him going to the Dodgers because it'd be a hell of a, like, even the Dodgers, they eventually got to put a cap on what they spend. But you go back to Jeter's situation. Jeter asked, "Who would you want at shortstop?" And he said, and Cashman said, "Do you really want me to answer that?" And Jeter said, "Yeah." And he said, "Troy Tulowitzki," because, well, look how Tulo is now. But Tulowitzki was coming off his first All-Star season, and it was a big deal to Jeter. And I, from what I've read, Cashman and Jeter have never seen eye to eye since then. And so Judge better watch himself, because yes, he's the best player in my opinion right now. He's the best player in baseball. You can give your Mike Trout and everything else, but Trout doesn't win. And the Yankees, if Judge leaves, he's leaving a situation where they got a really good, solid team that could win a few championships. Yes, they have not done so since 2009, and they kind of had, it's like, so that's a long, long time ago in Yankee land. But this team is built to win, and they're built to win now. Maybe this year, next year, and maybe the year after. Who knows? The Astros are a really good team, as they showed last weekend, almost no hitting the Yankees twice on consecutive days, but the Yankees came out with a split in that series. But you just got to think that Judge, he really better tread carefully on what he wants. Yes, the Yankees have put themselves in a situation where they do have the judges' chambers out in right field. I guess you could just take that away, but he's very marketable in New York City, and the money he can make elsewhere will not equal what he's going to get with the Yankees. Long-term deals, he could probably get, I don't know what, we'll never know, but they're still selling Jeter jerseys and Jeter t-shirts and everything else in New York City at Yankee Stadium, at all the ballparks across on 161st and River, or all the stores across there. Jeter's, as you can see in my background, I got one and some other memorabilia as well. So I think it would be in Judge's best interest to stay with the Yankees, not only for legacy, but for also to have a chance to win. And then he can make a lot of money, man. I don't think the Yankees are going to go away from the 7-year deal. I think that they're going to have to increase and probably front end load a deal to go above the 200, and let's go 7 years, 280 probably, but front end loaded a little bit. So at a later stage, he's a big man. So at the later stages of his career, he's going to, your skills deteriorate in a big guy like that. Things are bound to happen. And it's just been proven year after year, and strikeout rates are so high throughout baseball. And Judge tends to strike out a little bit here and there, like not at Joey Gallo. Geez, Gallo stinks. But anyways, I can't see Judge leaving. I hope he stays. They got a good thing going, and now he's playing a lot more center field. They're getting Stanton into right field a little bit here and there, which is helping out the Yankees win a game. And like I said, man, they're at a 59-23 pace right now. They're on pace to win 118 games, I guess. And why would you leave that situation? Will this situation happen next year? Probably not. It's a once every 20-some years, 25 years, or 24 years. In 98, they racked up all those wins. But I think Judge stays. I think it's going to come down to money and not term. He's going to want the term. But the thing is, once you leave, you can't come back. And leaving a situation like New York City, leaving the Yankees, leaving the Bronx, it doesn't make a whole bunch of sense to me, because they really got a chance to win. And as most of us know, in our personal lives and in jobs and everything else, the grass isn't always greener. Most of the time, it's just different. So, Aaron Judge, my little podcast here in the Yankee Tavern North in Lethbridge, Alberta. I'm not begging you, but I'm asking you, can you please just put an end to this in the off season early, so it doesn't drag into into spring training next year, and get a deal done. You're going to be well compensated. You're going to make more money with the Yankees, and you need the Yankees just as much as they need you. Don't kid yourself, and because winning is a legacy thing. If you win a World Series in New York, no one can take that away from you. You look at a career that Mike Trout has. I feel like I'm speaking to Judge here, for Christ's sakes, which he'll never listen to this unless someone wants to forward it to him. But you're going to, if you win a World Series, and on the rate you're going right now, you could have an MVP. You'll be thinking Monument Park. You got to think how far away the alleged greatest player in baseball is Mike Trout, how far away they are from winning a World Series, and how tough it is just to get to the playoffs. The Yankees are in the playoffs every year. Judge, use your head for more than a hat rack, man. Sign the contract with the Yankees, stay there forever, win a couple of World Series for the Pinstripers, and go from there, because we Yankee fans will really appreciate it. You're going to make the most money. There's no doubt about that. And everybody loves you in pinstripes. So as my sister says, there's my best friend Aaron, whenever you come up to bat on television. No, so I hope to see you in the Bronx. We'll be there August 19th. DM, we're going to a Billy Joel concert right around that time. So hopefully we see everybody who listens to this show. We can meet up for a beer at the Real Yankee Tavern, or over at Billy's, or over at Stan somewhere. But looking forward to it. Looking forward to going to a Yankee game again. It's been a few years. We went down for 7 years in a row until the COVID situation and everything else. So we weren't allowed to cross the border, but now the things are full blast. But anyways, thanks everybody for listening to the 1420 podcast, getting foul tips going again. Got some big things on the horizon. Going to be interviewing some people in the WCBL right away. Got some things lined up. So hopefully you guys tune in on a regular basis. If it's only 1 or 2 or 3 of you, let us know at 1420sports@gmail.com, or get a hold of us on our Twitter account. I'm quite active on Twitter throughout the day. And so just drop us a line. Tell us what you think of our show, what you don't think of our show. Constructive criticism is great. Just let us know what you think. But we love putting this content out for you. Going to be a lot more active throughout the summer months when it comes to baseball, because it's near and dear to my heart and always has been. So anyways, Aaron, sign with the Yankees. Anyways, 1420 Sports Podcast and Foul Sports Bar Podcast and Foul Tips, brought to you by Fans Edge and fansedge.com, where you can pick up all your sports memorabilia, jerseys, jackets, hats, whatever you want to get from Fans Edge, and you get 20% off shipping in Canada, and you get free shipping throughout the United States. And there's always a sale or two to be had at Fans Edge and fansedge.com. Listening to Foul Tips, the all baseball solo edition of the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. Just as I finished that last segment, across the Twitter machine, Judge is dealing with lower body soreness. Great big body like that. They played a lot of games in a row. So he's sitting out the game tonight in Fenway. First time the Yankees and Red Sox have met at Fenway this year. And the first time since opening weekend that they've met each other, which is going to set up for a nice stretch run. Even though the Yankees have a 14-game lead over the rest of the division, you never know what can happen. A 14-game lead, the Yankees can win a couple this week, and it might put them to bed. You just run out of games, right? But anyways, Judge probably sitting out tonight with a lower body soreness. Going to rest that great big body, take the night off, and come play the rest of the weekend down at Fenway, which is a great place to watch a ball game. I'll talk about it. When we went there, one of the best baseball moments in a stadium I've ever had. The night before was cold, and it was quite awful. But the next day, we were sitting up in the right field seats, the Budweiser deck up there, and it was quite great. In the 7th inning or whatever inning, I can't remember. It doesn't much matter. I'm sure Red Sox fans tell me what inning Sweet Caroline plays, but the sun was shining down the entire right field seats, and when the crowd goes into Sweet Caroline, even I had to give a tip of the hat. I didn't sing the song, but I gave a tip of my hat, and then had a Sam Adams there sitting in the Budweiser deck. Anyways, it was a lot of fun. Didn't think I'd like Fenway as much as I did. I had a couple of people tell me to fuck off because I was wearing a Yankee hat, and they weren't even playing the Yankees. They were playing the Boston or the Toronto Blue Jays, sorry. And so that was a humorous little situation happened to me at Fenway. It was great. Had a girl budge in front of me because I was a Yankee fan. And then she asked me and my sister how long we've been together. And I said, well, I don't know, 41 years or so. My sister's a little bit older, a couple years older than me. And it was we got a good laugh out of that when the girl's head started to twitch. And she ended up being quite a nice person. We had a nice discussion. My sister seems to be able to smooth things out with that kind of situation better than I am. But anyways, we'll get on to the Rick Award. Something we got away from in the first half of baseball season. Get busy with football and hockey talk and the playoffs and life and everything else. But the Rick Award, that's named after Ricky Henderson and the stuff that Ricky would do, great performances or moments or just typical Rick stuff, stealing bases or getting called up or whatever. But anyways, this season's first nominees were Byron Buxton for his catch starting the 8-5 triple play, the first 8-5 triple play in American League history, I believe it was, happened on the 4th of July at Target Field. Another great place to go watch a ball game. I strongly recommend that place. It's a great spot. They got a little beer vending machine there. You get it on your own. You get a card. It's great. I quite like that. Beers. You go to a ball game, everybody knows that a nice cold beer is a must. But anyways, the unassisted or the assisted 8-5 triple play along with former Yankee Gio Urshela He was our Rick Award #1 because the catch was fantastic. So he's a nominee. The catch was phenomenal. I don't know why the Chicago White Sox weren't tagging on the play regardless, but it was a great play for the 8-5 triple play. For those of you who are baseball people and know the baseballism T-shirts, but you see them everywhere now. And I have one. My sister got it for me for Christmas a few years back. But the 6 + 4 + 3 = 2. 6-4-3 position double play is 2. So I put something on Twitter. They never got back to me. The baseballism guys. They never got back to me yesterday, but I put 8 + 5 = 3, which obviously it doesn't, but an 8-5 triple play. So I came up with that one. I'm surprised they didn't get back to me. I should trademark that shit and maybe make a couple of bucks outside Target Field and get make some money on that if I go back there, or just find someone in Minnesota to in Minneapolis to market those for them and make a couple of bucks on the side. But anyways, that was so Byron Buxton, nominee #1, and then Adrian Salazar, former Medicine Hat Maverick. In WCBL here, it's a college wood baseball, wood bat league here in Alberta and Saskatchewan. It's good baseball. It's solid baseball. As you can see, a guy, Adrian Salazar, was tearing up the league. He must have got a look whatever college he was at, and he ended up getting a Mexican contract in the Mexican Pro League, joining. Let me see if I can get this right. Cherperos de Satil. So congrats to him. I probably butchered that name, but for those people from Medicine Hat who know him, who know the league, and I'll get that out there. Cherperos de Satilo. My Spanish isn't very good, obviously, but I try. But he another nominee for the Rick Award. So congratulations to you, Adrian, on the contract. More importantly, being a nominee for the Rick Award. Unfortunately, Byron Buxton, he had 65% of the vote, probably because nobody knows who this Adrian Salazar is. Adrian's family charge didn't get the memo, but whatever, and load the ballot box like the Jays fans are doing for their team here in Canada. But anyways, so our first Rick Award recipient this season is Byron Buxton of the Minnesota Twins. And remember, if you're going to a ball game this summer, or you're going to any event, use SeatGeek and SeatGeek.com or the SeatGeek app and use promo code 1420POD. That's 1420POD, and save yourself $20 on your first purchase. We get a couple bucks in the backside, so that allows us to keep putting these shows out for you guys and putting content out here, because she's tough living in the indie podcast world. But make sure, and also guys, there's a lot of podcasts out there. We put in like, I'm not begging here, but what I'm saying is there are a lot of podcasts. There's a lot of listening that you guys can do. Stray away from your regular ones. Stay away from the guys who are making money on ESPN and TSN. And every once in a while, tune into a podcast that, like my friend Jim from Fan of the Van podcast, puts out a great show 2-3 times a week. He's quite humorous. I hope to meet him this summer when we do go to New York City. We can maybe hoist one together or whatever we want to do, and have a few laughs, and maybe do a show together from maybe the bleachers out at Yankee Stadium or something along those lines. But people, if you listen to this show, try to listen to an indie podcast once a day. Just change your listening habits. Put something in your ears. Listen to our shows. I've got 100 or 200 and whatever shows out there. We're closing in on the 30,000 download mark. So hopefully, now that we're part of the Belly Up Network, which is going to help out our show, our show will in turn help out those other shows and the network as well. So we're going to belly up to the bar with the Belly Up Sports Podcast Network, and we'll go from there. It's been a lot of fun for 2 years almost. We've been doing this, so we'll keep going as long as you guys keep listening to our show. We haven't had a shutout day yet. A couple close ones there where there's some pretty low download days, but make sure you guys keep listening to shows and listen to like I said, my friend Jim from Fan of the Van podcast. He's on Spotify, Good Pods, and everywhere else that you get your podcasts. We're back at it with Foul Tips, the all baseball edition of the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. We changed things up a little bit with Sports Bar podcast because I was at my brother's wedding this past weekend, and a lot of sports talk doesn't have to hover around stats and analytics and everything else. It's usually just who's better, who's this, who's that, if this, if that, all that kind of crap that we talk around a sports bar. So we're doing a minor rebranding that going to be the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. We're going to change things up after 2 years. A little change is good for the heart once in a while. You get a little stale and you want to get some different content out there. So we changed our name up to Sports Bar podcast, 1420 Sports Bar podcast. And what it originally was 1420 is in Canada here. 355 milliliters of beer is a can. 4 times 355 is 1420. So that's how he came up with 1420. 4 beers worth of sports talk and a whole lot more. But now we're sports bar content, which we always have, but we don't talk analytics a whole bunch here. This weekend, Seattle is going to be overrun with the Toronto Blue Jays fans. I've been down there a couple of times when the Jays are in Seattle. They put in a great show. Jays fans overtake. I always call it Safeco, but over to T-Mobile Field, and they'll have a great time there. The Jays, man, it's too bad their pitching staff hasn't held up the way they have. Kikuchi's a wreck. Ryu's hurt, obviously. The pitching staff hasn't held up, and they haven't hit like they were supposed to. And then the Yankees being on their historic tear, it's a recipe for disaster. They're still in the wild card spot, obviously, but the division is slowly slipping away. And when I say slowly, it's completely slipped away. But anyways, have fun if you're a Jays fan in Seattle this weekend. Send some pictures to us. Hashtag 1420 in Seattle, or foul tips in Seattle, or something. Let's get something trending and get this show going. If you are a listener of our show, pass the good word down in Seattle. We really appreciate the support. Anyways, we'll get into. I had a little, as some of you may know, if you've listened to our show before, or if you haven't, or if you know me, I umpire baseball in WCBL. I took a long time off. Life got in the way, but now I'm a proud umpire. I do about 30 of these games a year, plus Canadian College Baseball Conference games and everything else. So I'm quite active out in the field on every other night doing a lot of games. But it's a lot of fun, and I'm usually the guy who's rather well-mannered and everything else. And I always have a rule to my like we do a 3-man system in WCBL. I have a pretty strong rule to try to keep everybody in the game. Let's not have ejections, and everybody has some fun, and not be a red-ass umpire and just out there picking on kids or picking on coaches, or coaches picking on you, and go out there, smile, and diffuse situations, because they do come up in the game of baseball all the time, whether it be a rule snafu or a bad call, or a guy who thinks it's a bad call. Whoever watches baseball knows that it can happen. In the WCBL, we don't have instant replay, so therefore what we say goes. And sometimes, most of the time, we're right. Once in a while, we get them wrong, but I like to pride myself thinking that I do a very, very good job. I'm not perfect by any means, but I do a very good job out there. And I treat myself like we have fun out there, but I work a pretty professional game, and we try to have some fun on the field. And I try not to. In a lot of years that I've been doing this, I haven't come close to having an ejection. Ended up with one the other night, folks. So there it was. I popped my cherry, I guess you could say, on Tuesday night in Medicine Hat, game between the Medicine Hat Mavericks and the Regina Red Sox. Geez, and I got it done early. It was in the second inning. There was a pitch that was questionable, but I called it a strike, because when I went to umpire school in 1997 in Florida, pro umpire school, the Jim Evans School, you don't go to the bar by calling balls and safes. You get to the bar by calling strikes and outs, because that ends the game quicker. So it was a borderline call. I called it a strike, kid, and of course the kid was a beer batter. For those of you who don't know what a beer batter is, most minor league places and college baseball things like that, they give $2 off a beer or $1 off a beer for X amount of time when the beer batter strikes out. But anyways, this kid, he didn't agree with my call for a strike 3. I rung him up. I called it. He said, he pointed something. He didn't point. He just said, "That's outside." And I said, "No, that's a good pitch." And he said, he kind of stood there a little longer than I probably should have let him, because that's one thing it actually says in the rule book. You can't argue balls and strikes. It's automatic ejection. But because it was a borderline pitch, I didn't feel the need, because if I did miss it, I didn't want to throw the kid out, because I've always said that when an umpire screws up, we shouldn't throw a kid out of a game. I've always thought that. I still think that today, even after I had my cherry popped on Tuesday night in Medicine Hat. But anyways, kid stayed. He was a little bit pissed off. He kind of lost all credibility when he said, you can't call a pitch like that when the pitcher's good. And me and the catcher from Medicine Hat kind of chuckled. I was like, "What's that even mean, man? Like, what's it? Whatever." So he went back to the dugout. He was a little bit frustrated and mad at me, and it happens. But in the second inning, he was a little revved up for the second inning, I think. But he, oh well, it happens. I heard some banging after the first pitch. I looked over at the dugout just to see what was going on, and one of the Regina coaches yelled something in the lines of, "You don't need to look over here. You got to look at the plate and get your strike zone in set." So that kind of got me a little bit revved up. I thought, geez, they're going to be beaking all night long. It's only the second inning. It's going to make for a really long night for old Brent Radlinski behind the plate. It was a nice night. Didn't want that to ruin it. I was like, okay, just put it behind it. It's whatever. Let's not throw anybody out. But I was thinking, Jesus, if they're going to be like this all night long, I don't fucking need it. So anyways, next batter grounded into a inning-ending fielder's choice. I took my spot up on the third baseline so I could look over at the Regina dugout to make sure they weren't beaking at me or saying stuff behind my back if I was on the first baseline. So I'm standing there doing that, and it was quiet. And the third base coach, he went in behind me. He didn't say a word as he's walking down the line. I could see him out of the corner of my eye, and he started beaking about that. You're better than that. And you got to get better than that. I'm like, oh, whatever, man. I said, that's enough. I said, that's it. No more. He chirped out something back. I think he said something about my shoes or whatever it was. And I said, okay, that's it. And I said, you're done. You get out of here. And he started yelling at me that I was soft. And I said, I'm not soft at all, man. You just had it. You that's it. Get the fuck out of here. So there was my ejection for the year. Hopefully that's my last one. I got a couple of games. I got a game tonight actually here in Lethbridge with, I think Brooks is in town, and I got a game on Saturday night where I'm behind the plate again. So hopefully I don't miss any pitches and get anybody mad at me, because I don't need any more ejections. Because the worst part of it was, man, when I got home, I had to do an ejection report, and that took me until about 12:45 at night just to figure out how to type it up, find it on the league website and everything else. So that was actually the worst part of it. There was no harm. The Regina catcher after that half inning, he came out and he apologized, said don't hold it against. I said no, it's fine. But anyways, the trials and tribulations of an amateur umpire, it's a thing. I love it. I have a great time doing it. It's I got, like I said, the game tonight. It's a lot of fun. I'm not going to have any more ejections. If I do have any, I'll be sure to report them here on foul tips. Hopefully I don't have to, but we'll talk about some other things that happen in WCBL. It's a good league. If you're listening in Lethbridge or wherever you guys listen, you have a chance to go to a game this weekend, whether it be the Cape Cod League, whether it be the North Woods League, whether it be the West Coast League, the West Canadian League, or whatever. There's so many of these leagues out there. Or if you're going to minor league park, go to a ballpark and have some fun. We weren't allowed to do so for a couple of years. So let's get out there and support these teams and support the communities, everything else, because it's a lot of fun. Don't take it too if the production value isn't where you think it should be. Go and have a couple of beers in the stands and laugh and joke and yell at the umpire and have a good time. Buy some merchandise and support these teams, because they really appreciate it, and everybody plays a little harder when the crowd's a little bit bigger. So it's a lot of fun. Get out and support your local teams, whether it be the major leagues or down to a college level team or the summer collegiate leagues. Like I said, it's a lot of fun. But anyways, that's another edition of Foul Tips. Glad to get back on the air with you guys. I don't get the chance very often for some reason. I get butterflies once in a while, but like I said, make sure you go to a game this weekend, support your local indie podcasters, listen to a show. And anyways, to end our show, take care of each other, but more importantly, take care of yourself, because we need you around. And remember, smart people bunt. We'll talk to you again tomorrow, and hopefully we can get some guests on the show real soon. Good night. We'll talk to you again, hopefully tomorrow.
You are never too old or too cool to show support for your favorite team. Fans Edge, who's an affiliate of Fanatics, has everything a sports fan could possibly be looking for. From hats to apparel to giftware and memorabilia, Fans Edge is the place for you. With hassle-free returns, free shipping on order over $100 in Canada, and free shipping on all orders in the continental United States, Fans Edge makes it easy to get what you want when you want it. Just click on the link on our Twitter and Facebook accounts, and that will take you directly to our Fans Edge affiliate pages, and you can start shopping. Every time you purchase something from there, it supports the 1420 Sports Podcast, as we get a percentage, and that's a good thing. So go to Fans Edge today for all your fan gear needs.